Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me.
That's not true. I like to go against my better judgment. He's just, not a good animal.
He heard us talking about it.
I mean, he probably
talking
didn't hear
shit.
his name. And we can give him the intelligence test that they give the dog in Hyperbole and a Half.
I read that blog when I was but a
Yeah.
teen and gave that test to Otis. He, unsurprisingly, did not pass.
Yeah, I don't think my mom's dog would pass either. I don't know, Duke is fairly smart. I think he would struggle with the get out from under the blanket one.
Yeah, Otis sort of just gave up
Yeah.
in that one and was like, well, this is how I live now. In the dark, under this confusing
Yeah.
texture and weight. Poor Otis, our family dog, not long for this world. But then again, he might outlive all of us.
Yeah,
He's sort of enigmatically eternal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my family thought about our family cat for, the last
Daisy.
10 years of her life. We're like, surely this cat will die any day
Yeah.
now. She lives to be, 22.
I've seen Otis only a few times in the last 9 months. Whenever I have to stop by my mom's house to pick up something or drop off something, Otis will come out. And he's so old, and he started shaking quite a bit.
know.
Just, kind of, in the way old dogs do. We
Yeah.
don't think he's in pain or anything. He doesn't have any,
She's got some tremors.
doesn't give any indication of that. And he also just might be kind of cold.
Yeah.
But he just sort of, looks and smells like death. It's so sad. We all call the swimming pool that my parents built a few years ago the Otis Lee Memorial Swimming Pool, even though he's not yet dead.
It happens.
And Adam, my brother, the other day texted the family group chat and was like, I got a quote on getting Otis bronzed. Should be about $2,000.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
This is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I am Sally.
I'm Emily. Are we giving up on our last names?
I don't know, I just didn't add it for some reason.
I just remember doing a transcript a little while ago. We didn't say our last names, but I'm like, I don't mind. If people don't know our last names by now, then repeating it shan't help.
I also feel like repeating our last name specifically isn't going to give anybody.
Yeah,
If they haven't got it by this
Here,
point.
Jushan, or just I don't know what those sounds mean.
Did you just vomit? What was that?
Might as well have. Remember my father's name. Chris is on thin ice.
Yeah. I don't know.
We don't have
I
to
can
talk about the
redo
books
it.
now. I just, we don't have to talk about the books now. I just wanted to, have it so that it's so that in post I can put it wherever I want to.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm really bad at doing
No,
it.
you're not. I was also really bad at doing it. Sometimes I just didn't do it, apparently.
Whatever.
I'm just conscious of doing the transcripts for the last year has made me hyper conscious of our many podcasting foibles, I guess.
All of them?
Everything
we do is a foible.
I know, yeah, this whole podcast is a foible.
This whole podcast is a foible.
Stupid. So the Wheel of Time.
So the Wheel of Time
turns and turns, and we're still here in Salidar. Just
somehow. Somehow we are still here.
Every chapter that opens on Salidar, I'm like, I feel like I've been here for eternity. Like, I'm, like, locked in purgatory, which is Salidar, specifically in the, summer heat.
Yeah. Yeah, and just, like, especially with Nynaeve in this particular headspace where she's like, I have to work on this block that I don't want to work on, and I miss Lan, and Elaine sucks. And so she's just, like, an insufferable narrator who is deeply unhappy. And it's just, like, everyone around her is deeply unhappy. Everything is just awful.
I don't know why writers hesitate to portray happiness so much. I think it must be easier to write pain and suffering than it is to write humor and joy on some level.
Yeah.
But it is pretty, sad how just, like, depressing it is to be in Salidar right now.
Yeah.
We pick up with Nynaeve pretty much right where we left off. We've skipped Theodrin's actual lesson, I guess, but we, sort of in the middle, in medias res, find out that Theodrin dumped a bucket of water on Nynaeve in an attempt to shock her into channeling, and then Nynaeve immediately punched Theodrin, who punched back.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're both banged up, and are like, well, that didn't work. And sort of Theodrin resorts to more typical means of trying to get Nynaeve to work through her block, just doing the usual novice meditation exercises, which also does nothing. So Nynaeve returns to her room. They heal each other of their lethal bruises, and finds Elaine there, also miserable and complaining about all the shit she's had to put up with today. And Nynaeve is like, I think we should leave Camelin, and I think we should leave Salidar. And Elaine's like, that's stupid. And Nynaeve's like, I don't think it is, though. And Elaine's like, because I overheard what the message is going to be back to the White Tower, and I think if we stay here any longer, they might decide to send us to the White Tower as, like, I don't know, an apology gift to Elada.
Sorry.
Like, whoops. And Elaine's like, no, we really have to convince them to approach Rand, or I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem with Nynaeve and Elaine and Salidar right now is that it is difficult to parse what their actual motivations are. Usually when I'm reading it, it, like, makes sense, but then in, post, it doesn't make sense at all to me, which I think is not a good sign, because, plot points should be clear even after you're no longer in them.
Yeah.
Elaine and Nynaeve obviously have no influence in Salidar. They can't convince any of the rebel Aes Sedai here to do anything about Rand, one way or another.
Yeah.
The embassy has also, from Salidar to Rand, has also been sent with Min, so they more or less have someone that they trust with the Aes Sedai there, and have done all they can do there. So, to me, it would make a little more sense if they were like, we have to stay here because we are, initiates in the tower. Like, we have not been cleared, we're not full Aes Sedai yet.
Yeah.
We're still students.
Yeah.
And if we break our bonds, quote unquote, with the Aes Sedai, then, like, we're not coming back. And we're outlaws.
Yeah.
But no one ever really brings that up, I guess.
Yeah. It's just like that never crosses their mind.
Yeah. As, like, what I would assume would be the most rational reason for staying.
Yeah.
Which is that you need to graduate or else you're going to be a dropout for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be thematically interesting, considering that in Book 7 they're going to run up against this group of women who are all White Tower dropouts in one way or another. And have made lives for themselves in interesting and fulfilling ways since then. Anyway, Elaine and Nynaeve's argument, I guess, is cut short when Tarna Feir or Fair, however you say her name, just sort of slams the door open like the Kool-Aid Man. Is like, hello, I'm here. She's like, they've been trying to hide you from me, but I'm not dumb. I know you're here. And I'm like, well, someone had to have given you directions to their
did you just burst into every room in this house?
Hello! And everyone was like, excuse me.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Who are you? Naked and afraid.
Naked and afraid. But she's like, wow, Elaine, Elena would love to have her hands on you. And Elaine's like, that doesn't make me feel better.
What the hell?
And Tarna sends her away so she can talk to Nynaeve. Basically about Rand, also asking questions about Rand.
Poor Nynaeve. The fact that she can, like we said, look at Rand.
Yeah. Nynaeve does give, not parallel, but perpendicular sort of, they're not instructions, I guess. But whereas with the Aes Sedai and Salidar, she has said, when Rand was a child, he always listened to reason, and you just need to not be aggressive with him, which is clearly her not so subtle way of being like, please don't attack Rand.
Yeah.
She, to Tarna, is like, oh, well, he simply couldn't be reasoned with as a child. You had to drag him this way or that, fully knowing that if anyone tries to tell Rand to do anything he doesn't want to do, he's going to be like, fuck no.
Yeah.
So that's just sort of, I guess, circling back to a point I brought up last episode when I said I didn't really know if there was a greater point to what we are hearing from Nynaeve there. But that's it, I think. Tarna's like, well, that's not very helpful or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she talks about Nynaeve's block.
Yeah.
She uses a lot of interesting language to refer to Nynaeve, not just calling her a wilder, which I guess is, wilder, parentheses, derogatory in that popular meme format. But she also refers to her as a cripple, which is not great. And she's like, oh, don't take offense because I too was a wilder. And Nynaeve's like, the words still hurt, Tarna.
Yeah.
Tarna's like, I couldn't channel unless my eyes were shut or something.
Yeah.
She's like, but Galena just beat me until I got over it. Hopefully Theoden does that to you. And Nynaeve's like, I mean, I hope not. I hope she doesn't. I hope she doesn't. It would be great if she doesn't.
But I mean, isn't that basically what happens to Nynaeve? She almost dies in a river.
Yeah, she almost dies in a river. Is the bucket foreshadowing for the river?
I guess.
Water will eventually do it, Nynaeve. Someone needs to hold your head underwater until you almost drown. But Tarna leaves, and then Nynaeve goes looking for Elaine, who she can't find, so she just sort of wanders around for a little while looking for her. Then eventually comes back to the room, just as Elaine is coming back to the room, and I can't remember if anything happens between them there.
No, I mean, they just decide, this is when they decide, I think, like, if we can find something that we need in Teleron Riyadh, we'll stay. And if we can't find something that we need, we'll leave.
It's a very weird ultimatum. I think their also initial thought is we need to find something that will convince the Aes Sedai here to support Rand.
That's what it is. That makes more sense.
Which is like, what MacGuffin are you going to find that will convince anyone to support Rand once they've had a good look at him?
Yeah.
He's a demon.
It's a little piece of paper that says, please.
Please. I do what I want.
Yeah.
So they go to Teleron Riyadh and start their little need ritual, which I think we last saw in effect. When? Did they do that last?
I feel like we've seen it before.
I know Edwene did it, and that was what led them to Terabon and whatever that city is called.
Yeah.
In the first
Tanchico.
place. Tanchico, yeah, into the male Adam. I don't remember if Nynaeve and Elaine have themselves done it. But they do it here. It takes them to Tar-Valon first, and then into the White Tower. Elaine's like, egg? But Egg is nowhere to be seen, so she's like, must have just been someone who looked like her. And then they are taken into the storeroom of Angreal, Sangreal, and Terangreal. I don't know, probably a more thorough fan than me would know what exactly they were being led to here that would purportedly help the Aes Sedai to support Rand. I don't know what it is, what the deal is. And they basically are like, well, whatever it is, we can't physically get to it here, so there's no point. But they decided to try again, this time focusing a ter'angreal that is not in Tar-Valon, which takes them to Abu Dar, a city with lots of, canals, and then immediately into the kind of the quarter of Abu Dar called the Rahad or the Rahad. I can't remember exactly, but it is essentially for poorer people. It's where the peasantry of the city,
it's the
I guess.
slums, quote unquote.
Yeah, the city
projects.
slums. So they're in the Rahad, and then they are taken into another storeroom inside a building. They look around in there and eventually come across the Bowl of the Winds. And Elaine, with her ter'angreal sixth sense, is like, I think this could control the weather. But I couldn't channel enough to, actually make it work. And Nynaeve's like, okay, well, we'll have to actually come to Abu Dar. Or I think Elaine is the one who suggested it.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve is like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'd rather be literally anywhere than Salidar. Let's go to Abu Dar.
Yeah.
So they're like, great, but how are we going to find it? Go out onto the streets, and the Rahad is just like a warren.
Yeah.
There aren't any street signs anywhere. This is, I think, a pretty, transparent means of Robert Jordan making sure that they have to spend a lot of time in Abu Dar without actually getting anything done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I wish it had happened a different way, because I don't really understand how Nynaeve and Elaine, two perfectly reasonable people, would not be able to pick out some landmarks.
Yeah, anything. They talk about the doors being different colors. Count the doors or something.
Count the doors. I don't know. I guess I haven't been in a city without Google Maps in a while, so I don't know how easy it would be for me to get lost. But there aren't any people around.
Yeah.
You kind of have...
Yeah, I just feel when we were in London, I would always turn my Wi-Fi off.
Yeah.
And so I would take screenshots of Google Maps if I ever did happen to get lost, but I managed just fine. I'm not saying that London is apparently this fantasy city that is impossible to navigate, but it can get pretty confusing.
I just wandered in London one day and had no idea where I was, but eventually I came to a landmark.
Yeah.
And from there, I think I would have been pretty easy to pick my way back. So all they have to do is find their way to the river and then get back. But they're we can't even do that.
They're it's literally impossible. Everything looks the same, and it's there's no way that's true, babes.
I don't want to I don't want to just spend a whole lot of time putting their navigational skills on blast. But it's it's just so irritating because Robert Jordan does these delaying tactics all the time, and it's none of us want to be given. Book 7 is one of the more interesting books in the series, and a lot of what happens in Abu Dar is interesting.
Yeah.
But none of us want to be there if we don't have to be there.
Yeah, but it's there are other things that could have delayed them, discovering the knitting circle or whatever it's called and trying to figure that out, or I don't know, the fucking Shawshan invasion, which is actually something that would keep people trapped in a city.
Or just realizing that they don't have, the wind power. Book 7 more or less opens with them negotiating with wind finders.
Mm-hmm.
Is that already for them to use the Bowl of the Winds?
I can't remember. I think so.
But it's why not put that off a little while and just
longer. It's just very frustrating because it's one of those things that it's your characters are stupid and your readers are stupid, and that just feels that's how Robert Jordan treats everybody sometimes.
Yeah. And we're just in the middle of a delaying tactic right now, and so it's particularly grating, I should say, to be staring down the barrel of another one.
Yeah, where it's you control this universe, Robert. It doesn't have to be this way.
You do what you want.
They find the Bowl of the Winds, they go back. Nynaeve isn't sleeping because Theodrin told her.
Yeah, Theodrin was maybe exhaustion will do the trick, so Nynaeve is supposed to stay up the whole night, so she just starts pacing and weeping. And again, it's I'm not loving,
Yeah, it sucks that she's so depressed right now. I want her to be happier.
Yeah, characters, I just read, speaking of Megan Whalen Turner, or maybe not, depending on whether I cut that out of the podcast, but Speaking of that series, The Queen's Thief, it's called, like, I just read a book that had a lot to do with a character losing an arm and then sort of going through, like, a period of recovery and grief.
Yeah.
And just sort of being miserable for a long time and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And there's a way to write that sort of, like, extended misery without making it unpalatable to the readers. But yeah, what's going on with the Nynaeve here is just, like, because we don't see any way out of it.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for us, whereas, you know, in this series I was just reading, it was kind of like, oh, I know what he needs to do, I know what other people need to do to help him.
Yeah.
And with this, it's just like, there's no negotiating with Nynaeve's misery here because it's completely inflicted upon her by Robert Jordan's inability to move her characterization forward.
Yeah. Yeah. But then Nynaeve gets attacked by a stool and a massive bubble of evil, or what Nynaeve and Elaine claim is a bubble of evil, and the Aes Sedai claim is an attack by the Forsaken.
Yeah, obviously makes more sense as a bubble of evil. Elaine is like, why would Samael just send furniture after us?
Because, like, basically all the furniture, all the objects in all of Salidar are attacking people. So, like, tea kettles and sheets, and people are dying, strangled by their own dresses. And it's very upsetting. It's like...
But it's not, like, a lot of people, and there's no, like, strategic importance to the people who are dying. It's just a matter of chance.
Okay,
so... I'm just saying, why would Samael do it?
Yeah, no, I mean, from the Aes Sedai perspective, it's very dumb to be like, I mean, the Forsaken are deeply incompetent.
That's true, you got me there. Samael is so stupid that he might just be like, I don't know, maybe it makes sense.
Send the furniture after.
Send the furniture around? That might panic them. And I mean, he's right, they do panic.
Yeah, but Nynaeve and Elaine link with Anaya, I think?
Anaya comes around just, like, gathering people, linking up. She's like, alright, we're ready for this. Like, this is not a drill. We're just gonna go around channeling. This is Nynaeve's first experience, I think, being in a linked circle.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, oh my god, I'm like, lose all sense of individuality and blah, 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 blah. And this bubble of evil is defeated very easily. They just have to, like, get the stuff to stop either by channeling or physically moving it and, like, touch it, essentially, and it drops. Of course, it is very sad that people do die, but I can't imagine it's, many people.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. It's not like Elaine dies.
It's not like Elaine is
Samael
brained by a stool.
Yeah, let's kill the future Queen of Andor or whatever. That will be helpful to me.
I mean, it would have been hilarious if one of them just died.
Only Elaine, though. Nynaeve, I could keep around for a little.
Oh, no, it's not like we're seeing named characters dead on the streets. It's all, of course, just servants.
Yeah, it's all red shirts.
And yeah, Anaya's just like, this is definitely an attack by the Forsaken. And Nynaeve and Elaine are like, no, it's not. It's a bubble of evil. We've seen one in Tyr, which they manifestly did not see. They just heard about.
Yeah.
So their quote-unquote experience with it is a little... Exaggerated. But they're like, surely... They understand what it is very quickly for people who have only experienced it once, which I think is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I also think the bubbles of evil are usually quite interesting, just in, like, they're like a fun random effect sort of thing going on in an otherwise stagnant series, but they're also transparently a way of upping the ante when things are pretty slow. So, you know, oh, Nynaeve's miserable, I'll throw a stool at her. Maybe that will increase the reader's interest in what's going on.
Maybe that'll knock it out of her.
Maybe that'll make everyone happier. It won't.
I mean, getting hit with a stool wouldn't make me happier.
No, she's still so sad. And Anaya's like, go back to sleep. And Nynaeve's like, fine, I will. I hurt. My back hurts from being
I got hit by a stool.
Bah.
Oh, Tibble, was that a garbage truck?
Oh, Tibble, your eyes are so big. There's also a scene in the middle here where we cut to Egg, who is in Teleron Riyadh against Wise One orders. And is also fleeing from Elaine and Nynaeve because she can't risk being seen by them, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird.
On the off chance that they'll report to the Wise Ones.
Yeah.
although, as she says, they can keep a secret, I think she just doesn't want to be seen as, like, wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mischief making.
Mm-hmm.
But she is like, I've just been going to the White Tower and looking for any sign of what Aleda and Alviren are up to, but she also is like, I can't go into their offices, so I'm not sure what she's been doing exactly.
Yeah.
To gather intel. And she's also like, I've been seeing strangers around Teleron Riyadh, such as, we know, Leanne and Swan, but Egg clearly doesn't recognize them. It's like, maybe they're Black Aja. And it's just like, communication problems.
Yeah.
Aren't a fun plot, Robert.
Yeah.
But she goes to this space in Teleron Riyadh where you can just kind of look at people's dreams. She's like, oh, Bear is sleeping, Rand is sleeping, I don't know where Rand is, maybe in Camelin, maybe in Tyr. It's weird that he can hop around, his dreams are warded, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, she's there when she is she doesn't, like, go to Gawyn's dream, it comes to her. I think the assumption we're supposed to make is that when a dream involves, you know, a person, it would sort of, law of physics, be attracted to them.
Yeah.
But it is also just a way of getting Egg into this weird dream in which Gawyn has to rescue her from Rand and then take her out into the hills and lay her in a blanket and confess his love to her and then fade to black, but I assume it's a sex dream.
Yeah. I have so many problems with this
Go
scene,
off.
obviously. But I also feel like if I was gonna take like one, I feel like I say this with every sex scene, but I could like take this scene and just like distill all of the problems with the Wheel of Time sexual politics. Because it starts off and Egg finds herself chained to some sort of pillar and she's like furious. She's like, how dare Gawyn keep me chained up? Like, there's kind of this implication that, like, oh, what a weird pervert, what is happening in his dreams. Then all of a sudden, when she realizes that she's chained up by someone else and he's rescuing her from another man, it immediately becomes, like, a romantic context. Like, the switch is flipped so fast. No matter that Egg is still tied up, no matter that she's still being held captive by a man, like, the situation becomes romantic so fast. And it's just, like, yeah, like, rather than Gawyn having this... I mean, it could have been interesting if it was, like, Gawyn is into bondage, and Egg is like, I don't know, let's kind of explore this. Could have been totally fine, but there's this, like, it's played off as, like, a humorous joke at the beginning, with the way sex is so much in Wheel of Time, just her being like, why the fuck has he have me chained up? This is ridiculous. But then rather than it being something like, we are entering this sexual arena as equals who both have agency, it's like it can only be romantic in Egg's mind. It's either like girl boss energy, I'm mad at him for chaining me up, or isn't it so romantic that he is rescuing me? Like, there's no ground for it to just be like, this is Gawyn and I occupying a space together.
Yeah.
What?
Just this whole thing.
Yeah.
There's so many layers. Okay. First of all, Gawyn's fantasy, his dream, is a fantasy. He doesn't have any control over it. Because this is literature, it does invoke a certain amount of, this is what Gawyn is really like, and we are learning about Gawyn here, and the way that he views women, the way that he views romantic partners, in particular. It is still, there's consent being broken repeatedly on both sides here.
Yes.
Gawyn undoubtedly would not want Edwene herself present in his dream of her. That would be mortifying.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he were just like a normal lad and was having a normal sex dream, the way people have sex dreams where it's like weird dreams, oh, but also sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where there's not like a narrative sequence.
Yeah.
either way, he would just be like, oh, fuck no, you don't ever want anyone seeing into your deepest thoughts and dreams and fantasies. That's horrifying.
Very invasive.
But then it's like, the dream grabbed Edwene, and she has no choice in the matter, and the whole time she is struggling, knowing that she shouldn't be in this dream and trying to get out, but it simply will not let her go. Mm-hmm. And that itself is romanticized.
Yeah, she's just like, can't help but falling further into this dream.
Oh my god. And so the whole thing is nasty. It is sexual politics in Wheel of Time. Yes, magnified to 1,000, where neither party really wants to be here. Mm-hmm. But because they're, like, play acting these gender roles, it is inherently romanticized and sexualized.
Yeah.
It's just like, as long as people are, in Robert Jordan's, like, weird world, as long as people are playing the prescribed roles given to their genders, everyone is having good sex.
Yeah.
And that is not necessary.
Not true at all.
Not the case.
Like, there's so much to be said about Gawyn, about the fact that his sex dream starts with rescuing Egg from another man.
That it's Rand.
Specifically Rand.
Who he didn't even view Rand as an enemy until earlier in this book, when one single person spread the rumor.
One single, like, traveling, like, corn on the cob salesman or whatever he is. Was like, hey,
he, like, opens his coat. Do you want some corn?
Cannot remember what that man is doing.
I don't know.
But he's like, hey, I hear the Dragon Reborn killed your mom, and Gawyn is like, 100% indisputable fact.
Oh, yeah, that was fact-checked.
And his coat made of corn.
Like, this man walks in, is like, in the tweet format, your mother is dead. This tweet is disputed by actual sources. And Gawyn's like, Rand, he killed my mom? He killed my mom? Okay, he's my nemesis.
Yeah.
He's the supervillain. I'm the superhero. He doesn't even know you fucking exist, Gawyn.
Yeah, Rand is like, who? Gary?
Rand's like, what? I don't even... Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So, there's just so much going on here. Gawyn is the worst character ever written. Possibly. I don't know. This scene is just like Emily is right. Like, it's very invasive for him to have his dreams invaded by Egg as a conscious party in his unconscious dreams. But just, like, woof, it is. Yeah, and just the fact that he takes her out of this, like, palace into these, like, the hills are alive with the sound of music hills, and, like, lays her down on his cloak. It is, like, so...
And, like, the dream warping of it all, the fact that Egg is more beautiful than she feels she really is in real life, the fact that Gawyn is less handsome than he really is, because that's how he views himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but why, though? In your dreams, wouldn't you make yourself as hot as possible?
Really? Yeah, I'm a hunk.
Which, again, is another, like, gender stereotype, I think.
Yeah. Men
want to be the ordinary guy, the good guy, who nevertheless get the girl. Gawyn is enacting incredible violence against Edwene's childhood friend in front of her, and the transition from that to romantic confessions and presumably sex is like 0 to 100, but Edwene's comfort with that is never in question.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, Rand's decapitated head is, like, looking up at her, and she's like, ugh, and it just disappears because it's a dream, and Gawyn can sanitize his dreams.
Yeah.
When reality is not that way. But it's, like, projecting his future, I guess, his future beliefs that he should just be able to do whatever he wants, and as long as it is in Egg's best interests as he perceives them, then she is just, a passive participant.
Yeah.
To be rescued, to be confessed to be fucked, whatever.
Yeah. It's back to those gender roles. One person is active and one person is passive. And the actor must be the man, and the passive one must be the woman.
Yeah, which is why we get into such weird territory with Matt and Tylan in the next book, where these people are not actively portraying the correct gender roles, which in Robert Jordan's world makes it so that they're walking a line, and the line is either kinky on one side or rape on the other side, and apparently it's up for interpretation.
Yeah. It's not.
I mean, it's not.
But, yeah, there's parts of that is played as a joke, because they're not prescribing to those gender roles.
Yeah, because Tylan is the pursuer.
Yeah, the actor. Quote unquote. Barf.
Yeah, and the whole Gawyn giving a love confession that's very flowery but disingenuous.
Yeah.
Followed by a more real, genuine love confession that gets Egg to say, I love you back. That, again, is, toxic male fantasy wherein I don't actually need to be Cyrano de Bergerac with the best words of all time.
Yeah.
I can just bare my soul and women will respond the way I want to.
Mm-hmm. Even if my soul is some, weird shit about my brother and how he loves her, but he's a white cloak now, and obviously she likes him better, and blah, 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 but will you still have sex with me? And Egg's like, yeah, sure.
This scene just as the foundation, not quite the foundation, because Egg has had her own dreams about Gawyn. But the fact that their physical, real-world relationship is literally built on a dream foundation is so troubling. And out of whack, I mean.
Yeah, so upsetting on so many different levels, and it's also just, that's the male fantasy, right? That you can have a fantasy about a woman in which she behaves the way you want to, and then you can bring that down into reality. That's what is happening with Gawyn here.
That he doesn't actually have to, do anything other than enact what he saw in his own fantasy.
Yeah, and then Egg is just going to respond, because it's he doesn't have to, do any of the work of being how are we engaging in this relationship? What does this relationship look like? What do you need from me? He's just yes, I can save Egg and be some type of protector figure, and then we'll just start making out every morning for 2 hours or whatever is happening.
Yeah, and she'll go along with it.
Yeah, which she does.
And Reader, she does.
For some reason. It's so frustrating. It's giving me a headache.
I know.
I hate him. 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 I hate him.
Gawyn or Robert Jordan?
Where's the
For me,
line,
it's both, Yeah. Really, with Gawyn, you were ugh. It's one thing for, a writer to consciously come up with a villain or a compellingly evil or morally gray character, or even just a compellingly, I don't know how to say it. Even a character who is unlikable.
Yeah, I mean, in another reality, Gawyn could be a compelling fuckboy character.
Yeah, if there was any sort of consciousness or attempts to interrogate the function that Gawyn is serving, then I would have, I can't emphasize this enough, I would have zero issues with him as a character. We take all our anger out on Gawyn for being this construct of Robert Jordan's, who Robert Jordan seems to have been entirely, on board with. It's Robert Jordan didn't see the problems.
Yeah. 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 100%. Couldn't say it better. Took the words right out of my mouth. So,
it's nice to see Egg is alive, since she's been convalescing for months, apparently.
Yeah. It's unfortunate it has to come out this way.
Yeah, her entire... the first half of her role in this book is unfortunate, to say the least.
Yeah.
But that's that. Lord of Chaos is all bad. Have we
said that enough?
Have we made it known? Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay.
I added everything I could add. Ow, I just sunk myself in the eye.
I've said all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to Glenna McKenzie for our theme song. Thank you to our supporters on Patreon. If I ended up cutting that section out, our apologies if your graffitied book is delayed. We are working on those, but if you are at all upset by how long the delay has been, then we are certainly willing to talk to you about other benefits that you might receive other than those.
Yeah.
They just take us a while because they're each personalized, and especially in the pandemic, it's difficult for us to get to the post office.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Instagram. Some programming notes. This episode is coming out on December 21st, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you should not expect a Twitch live stream this week.
As Friday is Christmas.
Friday is Christmas, and I doubt either of us will even be home.
No.
We are not violating any CDC recommended rules. We are both interacting with people who have also been quarantining for 2 weeks, and we ourselves are in lockdown. So we're all safe here in this household.
Except for Tibble.
Except for Tibble.
Might throw out the window.
Yeah, he's on the edge. You should also not expect an episode next week. Are we taking a recording by week?
Yeah,
next
sure. Why not?
Next week, the week between Christmas and New Year's, next Monday we'll be off, but then we'll be back again in the new year, 2021, on with Lord of Chaos. Dun, dun. Also in 2021, Sally's blogs about Path of Daggers will start up on Patreon, which is exciting. For now, we've got just like a latent stretch where we are enjoying the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if my Path of Daggers blogs are exciting, because Path of Daggers, much like this book, is full of suffering.
You have an eyelash. Close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Sorry.
It's okay. I just was doing a transcript where you had a hair on your nose or something.
Emily just has to keep my face clean and beautiful.
I'm just looking at her face while she talks.
But Path of Daggers is full of suffering,
Yeah,
so join me for that, I guess.
Yeah, if you are really enjoying us just being miserable, like Nynaeve is miserable, then yeah, keep going. Read those blogs.
Yeah.
That's all our programming notes as far as I'm aware. Actually, no. The last week of December, that, weird space between December and January, you can expect, if you are on the correct Patreon tier, an addition of an hour or less.
Yeah. Also, if you are a follower of our side project, a new letter to Hosier should have come out.
Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, on
the weekend prior.
Sunday. So yesterday for you, if you're listening when this drops.
So go check that out.
So there's a lot of EHR stuff going on. So ever you get your fill, we love you.
Do you have a sign off?
Oh my god, yesterday Tibble did rip a hole in his carrot toy and there was catnip literally all over our main floor.
I was brushing my teeth and all I heard was Sally's hysterical laughter and then the vacuum. It was troubling.
Like, what has she done? I
was like, oh.
But no, he ripped a hole in his little catnip-filled carrot and he went apeshit because that was more catnip than he'd ever had in his entire life. His eyes were the size of the moon. And he was so silly and he got so angry when I took the carrot away from him.
Oh, Tibble.
Because he just wanted the drugs.
Tibble, did you get some drugs? Another yawn. All right, have a good week, everyone. Bye.